psycho killer, catch you say, fuck, run away, because Tom Cruise. Get it? Mission Impossible Fallout.
Yes.
So 2015 was basically the year where we were peer pressured into seeing awesome movies.
Yes.
Whether it was Fury Road early in the summer, where it was essentially every film critic we followed at the time essentially saying, "You've got to see this fucking movie." And we were like, "Got nothing to do this afternoon, so we'll go see this fucking movie." And we saw the fucking movie and we loved it.
And then with Mission Impossible Fallout, Rogue Nation, we were bored one afternoon. Neither of us had anything to do. We had the day off. We were like, "Fuck it, let's go see Mission Impossible. Let's go see the new Mission Impossible movie." Which,
most of these same critics we were following at the time were basically saying, "You've got to see this movie."
I mean, we were kind of tentatively interested in Ghost Protocol when it came out, but we didn't really care, so we didn't see it.
Yeah, but since Rogue Nation, which proved to be a really, really, really good movie, we have seen Ghost Protocol, which is still good. It might be, out of the two I've seen so far, it might be my favorite of the Mission Impossible franchise, but that's out of two. We haven't seen 1 through 3 yet.
I've seen a little bit of one. I've seen huge chunks of one. I haven't seen the whole thing yet.
I'll slow down a bit. Anyway, Mission Impossible. This franchise has been going on for 22 years. Now, granted, most of the time when a franchise goes for 22 years, they've put out more than 6 movies, but...
And they've also rebooted it, and they've also probably rebooted it.
There's no... 22 years, 6 movies, no reboots. It's been the same lead actor the entire time. Tom Cruise has been running Tom Cruise has basically been running the show since And Tom Cruise has basically been in charge of this franchise since like the second or third movie in the movie when he basically decided to jump on as producer.
He was producer on the first one.
Okay, then
the first one was the first movie he ever produced.
Okay, so he's been in charge for the entire time.
Yes, and as this franchise has gone on, it's become blatantly obvious that Tom Cruise clearly wants to die.
Some part of him must want to die so bad, because he constantly puts himself in harm's way.
He is fucking 56 years old. He got this is probably the first time I've ever heard him get seriously injured making one of these movies.
And even then, it's not that bad. All he did, he hurt his leg, and they had to shut down production for like 2 weeks. That's about it.
Yeah.
And he hung up. He has done all kinds of crazy stuff. He's run constantly for these movies, but then again, he's run for every movie he's in. He's run so much that he is self-aware enough to make it his Twitter bio saying that he's been running in movies since the day he started making movies. He has hung off the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world. He has hung off the side of a plane.
He has held his breath for 6 minutes underwater.
And now, in this movie, he is hanging out of helicopters, piloting said helicopters,
doing halo jumps, riding in motorcycles against Paris traffic,
hitting traffic and riding across the car. I assume, well, at least a good chunk of that is CGI, but there's got to be some of that's him.
And of course, going up against Henry Cavill and his mustache.
Henry Cavill and the infamous mustache that everybody says ruined Justice League. Guys, Justice League had a lot of is kind of hit or miss with a lot of people, but I think the mustache might have been the least of its problems.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the movie that gave Henry Cavill the infamous mustache that they had to CGI off, because this is what he was contractually obligated to do.
Yes.
There's not much left to say about that.
We also have a bunch of stuff about this particular iteration of the Mission Impossible franchise. For the first time ever, we have a writer-director coming back to the franchise with Chris McQuarrie.
For the first time ever, it's one person credited as the sole writer of the movie. Chris McQuarrie did write the screenplay for Rogue Nation himself, but he got story by credits with Drew Pearce.
But he had to share story credit with Drew Pearce. We also have we also have him jumping on as producer as well. That's a new addition to the producers team of this franchise.
This is the first time that someone has been solely credited. I already said that.
Yeah, this is the first time.
This is
also
the first time that a female lead has returned for the franchise.
We have two female leads returning. We have Michelle Monaghan as Julia, Ethan's estranged wife, and we have Rebecca Ferguson as everybody's favorite part of Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, Ilsa Faust.
The most because that name sounds British. I don't know, but and we've only seen Rebecca Ferguson in Mission Impossible Rogue Nation and The Greatest Showman. In The Greatest Show, The Greatest Showman. You know where he played. Oh crap, the joke's gone.
Yeah, and then we have Simon Pegg returning as Benji. We have Ving Rhames, the only other person other than Tom Cruise who's been in all of these movies, as Luther.
Even though he was barely in Ghost Protocol, he just showed up for a brief little cameo at the end to basically say, "Hey guys, Luther's here. He's got stuff to do between Brinks and Home Security and Arby's commercials." And Jeremy Renner is not coming back, but only because he needed to go film a deleted scene from Infinity War.
Or we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens there. And like we said, we have Henry Cavill coming back or jumping into the franchise,
along with Angela Bassett.
And then we have Alec Baldwin playing the head of the IMF this time around.
And so we got pretty star-studded cast. And by the way, I'm predicting that Henry Cavill is probably going to be replacing Brant for this particular movie by the end of it.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens there, but overall, I'm psyched because Tom Cruise is basically trying to kill himself to make these movies, and so if they suck, he's basically risking his life for nothing. But it's nice to have a franchise that goes on for this long and that builds the majority of its action around practical effects.
Yeah, so...
Though we're not snobs about that whole thing.
Yeah.
But you can bet that when you see these movies, that most of that stuff is real.
Yeah. So I think we got enough rambling done, so we're just gonna go ahead and get to the jump.
Yeah, so we'll see you afterwards. Bye. So that might be legitimately one of the best action movies of the year, if not the best.
Yeah.
There's a lot. This is a great movie. It's 22 years in, and Mission Impossible is putting out its best stuff now. That says a lot about the kind of talent they rein in. And
yeah, especially with the fact that we get to some pretty kick-ass action scenes that I can't even fucking imagine.
And as I was saying as we were going out of the theater, pretty much the most interesting thing, the thing that makes these particular action sequences a lot more tense than most other action movies of the time right now is nobody's technically signed on for a sequel in this.
Yeah.
So anyone whose actor is not named Tom Cruise could potentially die.
And that's why you're white knuckling it through most of the movie. And if Tom Cruise the only way Tom Cruise isn't going to be doing any of these anymore is if a movie gets canceled in the middle of production because Tom Cruise died.
Yeah.
Which is highly likely based on the fact that he keeps upping the fucking ante.
Essentially, the Mission Impossible movies have been Tom Cruise's baby from the get-go. He's essentially...
It was the first movie he ever produced, and he's been producing every single one of them. He then brought J.J. Abrams in to take over his baby, over and help him with his baby, and
essentially Tom Cruise is the guy who picks out all these directors based on things he likes. Like, first movie he brought in Brian De Palma for his interesting work with thrillers and all that kind of stuff. Second movie he brought in John Woo for his action movie cred. Third movie he brought in J.J. Abrams because he liked Alien. He just liked Alias. The fourth movie he brought in Brad Bird because the guy had won 2 Oscars. He was pretty solid for that point. And for the fifth and sixth movie he has brought in Chris McQuarrie. Pretty much his go-to guy at this point in time, because he's written most of Tom's most recent movies, including Edge of Tomorrow, Jack Reacher, and The Mummy. Essentially, these movies are well written, creatively directed, and it's just incredible that this franchise can still find new ways to get Tom Cruise in more death-defying situations.
Yeah.
We've got scenes where Tom Cruise is beating the shit out of people in a bathroom. We got where Henry Cavill is loading his fists like fucking shotguns.
We have a scene where we have an entirely one-take scene where we have Tom Cruise halo jumping out of a plane,
which is high altitude jumping.
And you open your parachute at low altitude. So
this sequence alone, one take, shot as practically as you possibly can with complete safety for all the people involved, including the cameraman and both actors involved. I don't know if Henry Cavill actually was doing it, but we know for a fact that. But there is a fact that they did it over the course of like 8 weeks. That they had to shoot that sequence over the course of like 8 weeks, simply because they could only shoot it at a certain time. And it's all incredible. When it comes to the acting, Tom Cruise is basically the same stoic badass he's been through the majority of these. But Ving Rhames unexpectedly knocks it out of the park with a few of his scenes.
There are some fucking great scenes with Ving Rhames.
And Simon Pegg, he keeps he pulls on your heartstrings because he's Simon Pegg, you know him, you love him, it's all in there.
Sean Harris as Solomon Lane is freaking fantastic as he was in the last movie.
Essentially, he's still playing the kind of creepy puppet master sort of thing that he was doing with Lane in the fifth movie in Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation.
Henry Cavill, man.
This is probably the best I've seen Henry Cavill, and I like Henry Cavill's performance as Superman to the extent that he looks like Superman. He pretty much talks like Superman, and he does the job.
But man, does he fucking deliver here!
This is pretty much the best we have seen him so far, and God willing, he brings this to the DCEU next time we see him in there.
Yeah. Rebecca Ferguson is great. Alec Baldwin does fantastic with what he's doing.
Like the last time we saw Alec Baldwin in these movies, he's not in it a lot.
But he definitely does more.
In some ways, I do kind of miss Jeremy Renner being here, but at the same time, I wasn't like actively thinking, you know who would really be great here? Jeremy Renner.
Yeah, you kind of missed him, but at the same time, the movie wasn't lacking because he was gone.
And Angela Bassett, she played the confidence, secretive.
She played an Angela Bassett type. She basically played directly into type.
Yeah, it was secretive and all around a good way to use Angela Bassett.
With the writing, the second act, the end of the second act has more twists than a bag of pretzels.
Honestly, I thought when the second act was over, that was going to be the end of the movie, but then it kept going and going and going. I thought it was ending on a cliffhanger, but it didn't.
Especially since you more than likely realized that we had a whole bunch more action scenes left.
Yeah, I had totally not thought. I wasn't even thinking about that. I was too deep into this.
Yeah, but it went on for it's 2 hours 20 minutes, and it's the exact opposite experience that we had with Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, where it could go on for longer. But I thank God that it finished when it did, because for the last half hour I was holding in I had to pee really badly for the last half hour.
And the whole movie is fantastic. It knows when to make a big action scene, which there is every couple scenes, but it also knows when to slow things down. I mean, immediately after one big chase scene in Paris, they just kind of stop and slow it down. It's not like they cut to a dialogue scene. They literally slow everything down right there. Nobody talks, nobody moves. It's just everything it's just everybody literally moving into the next scene.
There's not a single wasted second in here. There's a lot of slow, quiet moments, and they have to be there. Not a single second of this movie is wasted on anything useless or unnecessary.
And honestly, it could have gone on long. It could have gone on longer, maybe. I mean, I don't know how. I mean, I don't even know where the movie's gonna go from. Where Mission Impossible is gonna go from here. If they want to make more sequels, then I hope they have ideas.
Well, eventually Tom Cruise is gonna eventually there's either these movies are still gonna stop making money, not likely. Tom Cruise is gonna want to stop making movies, these movies, also not likely. Or Tom Cruise is gonna do something so stupid in making these movies that he's going to die midway through production, and they're never gonna be able to complete it.
Or he'll just be so injured, that he can never carry on with another production like this. Either way.
But he broke his ankle in this one, so making this one, and he had to be laid up for like a month and a half. So I don't know. I don't know if I want them to stop though, because if they keep tuning in stuff like this, they shouldn't.
And I don't know. Maybe one day they're gonna have to full on reboot the franchise, give it to the next pretty boy who's the next Tom Cruise. I don't know who's next.
He may not even have been discovered yet.
But for now, I'm glad these movies are still existing. I'm glad these movies are still giving the best work that they can possibly get out of them. And I'm glad that Tom Cruise, despite being a very complicated individual in his own right, is still cranking out movies like this and working his ass off to make sure that everything is as authentic, that every action beat, every little bit of work that goes into these movies is as authentic as possible.
Yeah.
So, go see Mission Impossible Fallout. I don't see any reason why you shouldn't. But I think that's it for right now.
Yeah.
Be sure to like, favorite, and subscribe to this channel, and don't forget to tune in next time when there's a rumbling in my tumble.